3, 2, 1, end of test. King with a go.
Well, hello there, and welcome to another edition of Wabird Wednesday. My name is Fred Bell. I am the Vice Chairman of the Palm Springs Air Museum, and today we are going to confuse the heck out of you, just like we did my cameraman Jason. We're going to be talking about the Il-20, the 1948 version, which is a ground attack airplane prototype, not the Il-20, basically early warning maritime patrol airplane. Because apparently the Russians, you can call many things an Il-20. But first, lollipops?
Big Dumb Hat comes in colors.
Is that what this one is? Feels like lollipops. Am I at the end of bucket? I'm not at the end of bucket hat lane. Well, we'll take this one off. I'm getting the head shake from Jason. This will be donated to the school kids, much to their delight. And today we are going to be talking about a concept. Now, this actually is an innovative airplane, this ground attack aircraft. The idea behind it makes a whole bunch of sense, but the execution on a prototype basis, why they ever even got to, they flew the airplane and canceled it at the same time, if you can, or pretty close to the same time. So why in the heck they did this in the first place, I'm not really clear. But Soviet ground attack airplanes, especially in World War II, were incredibly effective. And what I'm talking about is Stormovik and the Il-10. They were incredibly effective against the Germans. And the Russians really viewed them as flying tanks. They had a load-bearing armored shell that basically protected everything in, all the important stuff and the pilot in the airplane. And the idea was that these things could get down very low on attacking formations and just tear them up. And they were so tough. I mean, think about on the American side, let's go way fast forward and talk about the A-10. You put these aircraft so that they can take incredible amount of ground fire punishment. The Russians understood this. If you look at the Americans, on the other hand, when they released a lot of their fighter aircraft, when they had in World War II, when they no longer had German fighter opposition and went down on the deck, that's where we had most of our losses, because the airplanes were never designed to do that. You look at the Mustang with that radiator hanging underneath it, and a lot of these airplanes, they just weren't set up for that, and they went down low. And in the case of the Mustang, that's a liquid cooled air engine. One bullet in the right place and the entire airplane just stops working. So with all that said, we're going to be talking about the Il-20. Now, I have a P3, which is more of an early warning airplane that I'll throw up, and I'll explain why in a second. And Greg in post can throw up the Il-20, the 1948 version, which is a ground attack airplane, and we can kind of explain the difference. But in this parlance, the Russians use the designation again. So a lot of you on Wikipedia or on the web are going to be very confused, but this is a ground attack airplane we're going to be talking about today. Concept sounds great. Execution, not so much. What they came out with, in my view, is a heavily armored Winnebago. The best way I can describe it. They took the pilot, and over the M47 engine, which we'll talk about in a bit, but they took the pilot and they basically put him as far forward as possible with the hub, with the rotating hub of the propeller. And the idea was he had a great field of view. The problem was he was sitting on top of that M47 engine, which gave him all kinds of vibration. And also there's some issues there. If you bail out next to that spinny thing in front that is going very fast, that's a quick way to make sausage, and that's all the way I'll go through that, but incredibly dangerous for the pilot. Also, in practical terms, having the pilot sitting on top of the engine from a maintenance standpoint was a nightmare. And so when they put all those things together, having that, although it was a really good idea to have the pilot up there, in practical terms, it really didn't make any sense. And the aircraft was very ungainly. But the other thing that they had on this was there were wing pod, which is the best way I can describe them, gun-mounted pods that could traverse down and actually strafe a target in level flight. And we're going to talk about why that is so innovative, because that is incredibly innovative. And with that, I'm going to take my break here. And the folks I am going to salute today are, and I know it's an unconventional group, but the group today is those Stormovik pilots, those Soviet ground attack pilots who had to be somewhere near suicidal. You're going down low. The airplane was big, heavy. Any of their ground attack aircraft were big and heavy. They were kind of ungainly. And then you had to deal with the German fighter cover, which was always looking for them. And then, as I said, on top of that, they were getting shot at by everything on the ground. That just was a very, very dangerous combination. And the losses in Soviet ground attack aircraft across the board were just immense. The Russians, honestly, never paid any attention. Even, you go back to Ukraine right now, no attention to losses. The entire idea is you just attrit down the enemy. So they never really thought a whole bunch about their combat losses, but that didn't diminish the courage of the crews. So to all of the Soviet ground attack aircraft, and I don't see these things, and I've asked the question, but we're going to salute the Soviet ground attack aircraft with balls, ginger ale, because you got to have something to fly low like that and strafe those German formations. And Jason just felt this would be the ideal beverage to salute them. Now, this is a ginger ale. I've tried you're saying the blue bottle I've tried. This is the green bottle. Jason says I'm mistaken. This is 120 calories. I'm going to go ahead and pop the top and have a nice sip of this. To all of those Soviet ground attack pilots who showed tremendous courage, I salute you.
Been saving this one for a special occasion. Balls Guarana ginger ale.
This is like, what, 2 times in a row you failed? This isn't bad. It's a ginger ale. It's not bad. The name, BAWLS, is a little bit hard to work with, but again, to our Soviet allies in World War II and to their ground attack pilots, I salute you.
I wouldn't choose to drink it. I wouldn't be like, hell yeah, the balls Guarana ginger ale. But it's better than I thought.
So, this aircraft, probably its claim to fame and its lineage, and you can argue with me about this, is it could traverse its turrets down and strafe a target from level flight. Now, why is that important? Why is that important? Because later, think about that. If you're flying over the target and you want to strafe them, you don't have to dive. What can you do, Jason? You can, if you pinpoint a spot on the ground and you fly a circle around that point on the ground, you can keep it under constant fire. So the thought process behind this is if you're flying a circle around this target and you can traverse these down, you're not making firing passes. That is, and I don't know that the Soviets intended to do it, and there are probably other examples, but this is one of the first ideas about being able to have a gunship type of aircraft. And you could see that later with like Spookies, the Spectre gunships and the Spookies in Vietnam, where they're basically flying a circular pattern around a point in the ground, and they would pick points on the ground and just put all kinds of lead on them. Now, that works really well as long as you have air superiority, and man-pads, shoulder-fired missiles also made that incredibly dangerous as we've gone up to modern aircraft. Now, the gunship type aircraft, Spectre gunships and that, have evolved to the point where they're no longer flying a racetrack pattern, firing at sectors on the ground like this. They now can individually target, and the much bigger caliber weapons. But the concept, and I don't know if the Russians really understood at that time, the Soviets understood what they were creating, but later, as these aircraft could fly these racetrack patterns and strafe, no longer were you having to do these strafing runs, go back around, come back around. You could literally keep the enemy under fire constantly. And for the Il-20, for the 1948 version, that was really the true level of innovation. Ultimately, as I said, the aircraft was almost canceled. It was canceled in 1949. There was one prototype made. It was essentially a heavily armed, as I said, Winnebago with some unique design ideas that would be refined by other aircraft later. But it never really saw the light of day. And that is the end of that. The Il-20 1948. Now, if you are sitting at home and you are thinking about fun things to do after you have stuffed yourself with turkey, or the greatest gift idea, this is it, one of these great puzzles. These are World War II aircraft. They run the spectrum from Axis aircraft, Allied aircraft, all of them, and this one is suitable for framing. So click on that link, and Jason will run down to the post office and get you one of these out today. Now, we cannot do all of this stuff, including display this very cool Soviet motorbike. We can't do all that without a few rubles. So if you would click on the link in the description and make a donation, we would appreciate that. We cannot do it without you. If you are teaching the kiddos at home, click on that education link. Those guides are free, and while the kids are out of school, you can teach one lesson, you can teach a whole section, but the nice thing is they are free. If you came across us on Facebook, or you came across us on Instagram or YouTube, give us a subscription, a like, a comment. We love that stuff. Your comments drive the channel. Thank you very much. We appreciate everything you do for us, and so give us that feedback. We love it, and we very much appreciate your input. My name is Fred Bell. I am the Vice Chairman of the Palm Springs Air Museum. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
3, 2, 1, end of test. King with a go.